Hi, I'm Erin, and welcome to episode 2 of Pain Management Tips and Tricks for Cyclists, sponsored by Sumom Cycling. Today we'll look at lower back pain. Imagine sitting slumped at a desk for several hours while tensing your legs and upper body without changing position. I think it's fair to say you'd feel pretty stiff and sore after something like that. But essentially, it's imitating a similar position you're in when cycling. Unfortunately, unless you want to be as aerodynamic as a sail and sit upright on the bike, it is this motion that leads to many cycling enthusiasts and professionals alike complaining of lower back pain. Commonly, back pain from cycling occurs in the lower back region, your erector muscles, or the mid-back region, trapezius muscles. These two muscle groups are the ones that are put under greatest strain when held static in one position for an elapsed period of time. What we'll cover in this article is most common causes of lower back pain, methods to prevent, and methods to treat, golden stretches and exercises for lower back pain. So what are some common causes of lower back pain? The most common type of discomfort in cyclists is often described as pain in the lower region of the back, or your extensor muscles, which are responsible for supporting our back in an upright position. More often than not, it is a result of a combination of issues. However, some key areas to address are incorrect bike position, limited mobility or flexibility, and insufficient levels of strength and endurance in the lower back muscle. First point of call when it comes to any niggle on the bike is making sure you are riding a correct frame size or position. While a professional bike fit isn't always necessary, there are a few quick fixes you can check at home, against a mirror or with someone else. A saddle that is too high will cause your hips to rock back and forth in order to reach the bottom of the pedal stroke. This will result in stretching of the erector muscles or your posterior chain each time. As a rough rule of thumb, there should be a slight bend in the knee when your pedal is at 6 o'clock or at the bottom of your stroke. If your leg is completely extended, lower your seat height so there is a 20 to 30 degree bend in your knee flexion. If you have a nice bend in your knee and stable hips when pedaling, it might be helpful to check how far away your handlebars are from the seat. If the distance is too long, it can cause an overstretched position, putting strain on the lower back. Using a shorter stem or adding height to the handlebars can achieve a more upright position. With the correct bike fit obtained, it's important to look at the foundation of your position on the bike. This comes in the form of hip mobility and strength endurance of the lower back muscles or your erector group. During the pedaling motion, your core steadies the pelvis, providing resistance for your legs to push against on the downstroke. It goes hand in hand. A stronger core will allow more power, however a weaker core can force the lower back muscles to work overtime and compensate. This results in muscle fatigue and eventually pain. Two key areas we'll address in treatment and prevention is building this strength and mobility in the hips and erector muscles. So what are some methods to treat lower back pain? When it comes to treatment and prevention of lower back pain in cycling, it's key to note if there is any sudden, sharp pain or pins and needles, it's important to seek professional opinion. Being such a crucial part of the human body, the last thing anyone needs is aggravation or long-term issues arising from self-treatment or misdiagnosis. Although we've mentioned bike setup, another tool that can be used while out on the bike is how you sit on the saddle. While cycling, it's important to have your spine in a neutral position with as minimal curve possible through the mid and lower back. If you can imagine tilting the top of your pelvis forwards towards the ground, it will reduce flexion and bring your hips in line. To maintain this position, however, you will need to build up good core stability. Without this, you may notice rocking of the hips or uncontrolled movements with each pedal stroke. This is due to the trunk not being strong enough to absorb forces from the legs, and like a chain reaction, will shift your spine out of alignment, causing fatigue and increased likelihood of lower back pain. So we're going to look at some exercises today that are targeting your core strength, so this will help counteract any lower back pain that you may feel. What we're going to do is come onto all fours first. Try and imagine your back being flat as a table, keeping a neutral spine, and I want you to suck your core in and bring your back towards the ceiling, almost like a cat. And then you're going to come down back to neutral spine and you're going to rotate the other way. So what these are doing is it's helping you practice the different tilts of your pelvis, engaging your core this way, coming back to neutral, and then extending your core this way. So these are also going to be useful when you're riding on the bike. Remember I said that a great way to help lower back pain is to tilt your pelvis forwards on the saddle. So what this does is when you're leaning forward on the bike, it's going to bring that neutral back into play. So with these exercises, 3 sets, 6 to 8 reps on each one. So this would be 1, squeezing at the top, coming back to neutral. This would be 1 the other way. And then 6 to 8 of those. What we're going to move on to now is arm and leg extensions. So all these are going to join together at the end, but we're splitting them up for the purpose of learning. So we're going to come down onto your stomach, hands flat in front of you, toes pointed as well, and one at a time, you're going to lift one leg off, opposite arm. Hold here and squeeze, and then come back down. Lift the other leg off, other arm, squeeze, and come back down. If you find it's a bit hard to start with, come up onto your elbows, and you're going to lift one leg off, come back down, and then the other leg. You should be feeling your lower back squeezing and your glute squeezing of the leg that's lifting up. And then with your arms, when you're extending those, think about keeping your shoulder down, but just bringing the arm up. So we don't want any hunched shoulders, we want nice and flat, good posture. Arms up, either side. So 6 to 8 of these, alternate leg and arm if you want, or just single, 3 reps. So combining your arm and leg extensions and your pelvic tilts, we're going to bring it into a plank. So these are great for increasing core stability and strength, and there's multiple different ones we can do depending on what level you're at. So coming down onto your toes and arms, we're going to interlock the fingers, have your elbows on the ground, tuck your toes under, and then push up from the ground. You're going to come forward so that your shoulders are over your elbows. We don't want any bums in the air, and we don't want sagging hips either. We want to hold it nice and steady in the middle. Start with 30 seconds and try and squeeze the shoulders, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core. Holding for 30 seconds at the start, coming back down to the ground and resting. Different arm positions you can do are crossing your arms in front of you, hands flat on the ground or in fists, and you're just going to push up from here. This is slightly easier. Or, moving on, come to a full plank up here. So all of these, 30 seconds, working up to a minute if possible, 2 to 3, lots of planks per session. So what are some methods to prevent lower back pain? We've gone through lower back pain, common causes, and methods to treat lower back pain. But what's the next step? With a solid foundation through our position on the bike fit, and also core strength, we can start working on more complex exercises that can be completed daily. These fall into 2 categories, those that build strength and those that improve flexibility. So what are some that build strength? To increase lower back strength, we want to target the muscles that are able to support the body when extended or in a forwards position on the bike. It is important to target strength in this block, however also endurance, as they'll need to support the back for extended periods of time. Some key muscle groups we need to target are the lower back, glutes, hamstrings, and your hip flexors. So exercises that will help strengthen lower back muscles. All of these are targeted at increasing stability in the hips, increasing strength in our lower back, and also increasing strength in the supporting muscles that will help us keep our posture. So starting off, we're going to come down onto the ground, lying on your stomach, hands out in front of you. First step is we're just going to practice lifting one leg off at a time, squeezing that glute, squeezing the lower back, and back down, and then repeat with the other leg. Keeping these all as single movements, just concentrating on trying not to move anything except the leg that's being lifted. The next step we're going to do is start introducing arms. So we're going to go one arm up, opposite leg up. feeling the tension all the way through your lower back. So once you're comfortable with those, opposite legs, not feeling any movement in your core, we're then going to go into the Superman. So practice by lifting both legs off into the air, back down, up and back down. If you find it difficult being so upright, you can lean down and bring these off the ground. When you're lifting your legs, try not to lift from the hamstrings or bending the leg. Try and almost lift from where the hinge is. Final step in this, we're going to lift the arms and legs off at the same time, holding at the top and then back down. Squeezing all the back muscles and back down. In each of these stages, aim for 6 to 8 reps, 3 sets. We're going to flip over now and we'll go into glute bridge. So glute bridge, we're going to start on all fours on our back, hands under the shoulders, feet shoulder width apart, and squeezing the core and the glutes, you're going to lift the hips to the ceiling. You're going to hold here and then bring it back down. So when you're at the top, focus on keeping your body parallel with the ground and bring it back down. If you're finding this okay, when you're at the top, bring one leg off and back down, making sure we're not sagging, or when you're lifting the leg off, not twisting at the hips. So leg off and back down. So our last 2 exercises, we're going to incorporate them into one. So coming down onto your hands and knees, we're going to practice bringing one leg out straight, coming back down, the other leg out straight, coming back down. As with the glute bridge, we're not trying to rock the hips or sag the hips when you bring one leg off. We're keeping the back nice and still. And then once you think you got the hang of that, we're going to push up into a plank position, really engage that core, lower back and glutes, and we're going to lift one leg off the ground. Try and keep the pelvis as still as possible. If you're finding this a bit difficult at the start, come down onto your hands and knees, one leg off. Hold, swap to the other leg, and repeat. With both of these, 6 to 8 reps, 3 sets on each exercise. So what are some that improve flexibility? To increase lower back flexibility, we want to target the muscles that are able to reduce tension in the lower back. As you bend further forward, this rigidity results in the lower back tightening up at the end of its range while in a static position. By releasing these areas and improving flexibility, there will be less strain on the erector muscles, reducing the risk of inflammation, sprains or fatigue. So we've targeted strength in our lower back and strength in our glutes. What we're going to do now is just increase our flexibility through our spine and our lower back muscles. So we're going to start off all of these 30 to 40 seconds per exercise. So if it's single leg, 30 to 40 seconds one leg, and then swap and do the same on the other. Try to 2 to 3 times each stretch and have a break in between. So the first one we're going to do is what's called the lying figure 4 stretch. So we're going to start by sitting on the ground, supporting your upper body with your hands. Bring one leg up and rest it on your knee. We're going to slowly come down to our elbows, back onto the ground. Grab that bent leg with your hands and pull towards your chest. Try and get the tailbone off the ground and release. While you're on the ground, swap legs. Grab that bent leg underneath and pull towards your chest. You should really feel this in the lower back, but also down here in your glutes. If it's too difficult, start off just by grabbing one leg, bending the other off the ground and pulling that one leg towards you. If you find that too difficult as well, we're just going to bend one leg over and we'll stay in a seated position. You can gradually move your hands out, and then when it becomes too easily, bring them back in again. So you're going to repeat that on both legs 2 to 3 times, 30 to 45 seconds each. While we're on the ground, make sure you have enough space, and we're going to do a trunk rotation. So you'll bring one leg up, bring it across to the other side of your body. Try and keep both shoulders still on the ground, and stop where you can feel it pull. You don't want to bring your knee all the way to the ground and shoulder up. You want to keep your shoulder down and just bring until you feel the tension. You're going to hold this position for 30 to 45 seconds. Bring it back up to center, leg down, and repeat on the other side. So you're going to bring across your body, keeping your shoulder on the ground. You may find you have one side that's better than the other. If you want, you can hold the bad side for slightly longer than the good side, and bring it back to center. We're going to come back to sitting position now, flipping over onto all fours. And what we're going to do now is cat-cow. So this is increasing the extension and flexion of your lower back. So you're going to reach all the way to the ceiling, hold, and then bring your stomach up and really push through those shoulders. And then back down, sink into the hips. And then push up to the ceiling. These ones you can do a bit quicker, so not holding one position for 30 to 45, but rather just slowly moving through each one. You can do 10 to 12 reps, have a break, and then repeat. Once you finish with those, our last stretch is going to be working on our hamstrings. So although it's not necessarily directly related to our back, it's still a crucial part in all your hip mobility and your lower back flexibility. So we're going to come just into a sitting position, feet out in front of you. Remembering with this one, you want to bend from the hips. So you don't want to crouch forward. You want to here and then bend towards your toes. You may find you won't go as far with this one, but it's important to keep a straight back as much as possible. You're going to bring your hands out, grab your toes, hold for 30 to 45 seconds. Breathe in, breathe out, and see if you can come down further. Then you'll release and have a break and come down. If you want, single leg hamstring stretch. Sit upright with one leg bent. You almost want to be facing directly between the two, and you're just going to bend to the side. And what this will do is it will bring the stretch into more of the middle of your hamstrings, so more your adductors of your hips rather than just the center of your hamstrings. So again, breathe in, breathe out, bend from the hips. Try and creep your hand down your toe if you can. Bring your foot off the floor. That just helps bring the stretch all the way through behind your calves. 30 seconds hold, bring it up and repeat on the other side. Thanks for watching this episode of Pain Management Tips and Tricks for Cyclists, sponsored by Sumom Cycling. You can find the other episodes by clicking the link below or by visiting www.sumom.com and check the blog section. For a more personalised approach to building strength on the bike, you can get in touch with me through EJ MacDonald Performance Coaching on Facebook, where we can work together towards building you a specific program. You can check out all of Sumom Cycling's garments on their website at www.sumom.com. Happy riding, and I'll see you on the next video.